Okay, this is Mrs. Jacobs, and I will be showing you today GOMath, grade 4. We're in chapter 4, which is division. We will be dividing by one-digit divisors. So the chapter starts off with lesson 4.1, which is called estimating quotients. Learning target. So our goal today is to be able to estimate quotients using multiples. So that will be our strategy, is we will use multiples to estimate quotients. And estimating, all right, has been covered throughout the year. Estimating sums, right? Estimating differences, and we have learned how to estimate products. So now that we're in division, we will learn how to estimate quotients. So first let me show you, okay, all about estimating is you always estimate before you do the operation. So for example, for estimating sums, when someone wants you to do that, you estimate, then add. So if we were doing 26 plus 14, right, we would really be estimating first. So 26 is about 30, 14 is about 10, and we would get our estimated sum is 40. So we're always estimating, then doing the operation. Same thing with estimating differences. If we were doing 86 and I am subtracting 21, if I want to estimate the difference, it's really 90 take away 20, which is about 70. All right, so estimating doesn't give you exact answers. It gives you a reasonable estimate. And same thing with estimating products. Okay, if I was doing, let's say, 27 times 64, right, I would be estimating my factors first. So it would be 30 times 60. Okay, 3 times 6 is 18, 2 zeros. So it would be about 1,800. So same thing now, we're going to be doing estimating quotients. However, we're not using rounding. Okay, we're not using rounding. We're using multiples. So it's a little bit of a different strategy, but still, we use our multiples first, and then we're going to divide. So I'm going to show you how that works today. So first, we have to know what multiples are since we're using that strategy. So multiples, for example, I have the multiples of 7, are basically the multiplication facts, skip counting, right? So if I skip count by 7, that will give me the multiples. So the multiples of 7 are 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70, 77, 84, and I can continue this pattern of multiples by just keep adding 7, right? So we need to know multiples, and basically that is your multiplication table for the multiplication facts of 7, right? So we are going to estimate quotients using the strategy of multiples, all right? So let me show you how we do it. Okay, so a few things we need to go over is that the reason why we're estimating quotients is we use it to find a reasonable amount, right? So when you're out in the real world, instead of calculating exact, which you would need a calculator, we could do some estimating and do some mental math, so it makes it quicker. So for example, since we're in the unit of division, these are some types of questions that would require you to estimate the quotient. And I went and highlighted, okay, the estimating words that should inform you that they don't want exact answers, they want estimated answers. So the first one says, about how many pencils will each child get? about how many kids will be on each team, approximately how many cars will be needed to take all the students on the trip, about how much money will Peter need to save each month. So you could see that the estimating words haven't changed through sums, differences, and products. So these are very important keywords. So before we can solve any estimating quotient word problems, we need to know the skill first so that we can apply it to a word problem. So we're going to do some practicing. And this is just an example in the real world. When you see something that says 4 for $12, right? You will use division, right, in the real world. So I know if I buy 4 of them, I have to pay $12, right? But if I wanted to buy one pack of the soda would be $3. So they are $3 for each case of soda. So in the real world, you will see some basic facts or basic use of division at least. All right, so let's get to estimating quotients. So find two numbers the quotient is between. And then estimate the quotient. What do these directions mean? So these are the directions you're going to see, and they are a little bit confusing. So what do you expect to do? That's what we need to know, right? So looking at these directions, it says find two numbers. So now I know that I'm going to be dealing with two numbers, and the quotient is between. So I know from that my quotient, which is the answer to a division problem, my quotient is going to be in between two numbers, and it's my job to find those two numbers. Okay? Then after I do that, I will estimate the quotient. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to show you how to find the two numbers the quotient is between, and then I will show you how we use that to estimate the quotient. Okay. So here are the directions. Find the two numbers the quotient is between, then estimate the quotient. All right. So I told you that we're going to be using the strategy using multiples. All right. And whenever you're using the multiples, you're always using the multiples of the divisor. Okay. That's the divisor. So when we're using multiples, we are going to be using the multiples of 3 in this case. All right. And what we're going to do is we are going to, in the first step, list the multiples of the divisor. So I will list the multiples of 3. So that's step 1. List the multiples of the divisor. So I'm going to list, okay, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, and I could keep going by adding 3, because I know that multiples of 3, I can continue the pattern. So 45, 48, 51, 54, 57. Now I'm going to stop. The reason why I'm stopping is because I have to get past 53, and I did go a little far, but that's my stopping point. And I realize is now I have to go to step 2. So after I list the multiples, I have to choose the two numbers the dividend is between. So this is the dividend, okay? Now I need to find in my list of multiples, where would I find 53? So I'm looking through my list of multiples, and I know that 53, right, would be in here somewhere, right? So 53 is in between 51 and 54, right? So I am just going to use a different color to notice that. Oop, I don't want blue. So I'm just noticing that 53 is in between 51 and 54. So I found the two numbers that I was looking for. It's 51 and 54. So now that I have found that, all I do is take those two multiples and now I'm going to write them in equations like this. So since it's 51, I'm going to rewrite my equation. It's no longer 53 divided by 3. It's 51 divided by 3 and 54 divided by 3. Now I know these answers. I know them because all I have to do is count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 51 divided by 3 is 17 and 54 divided by 3 is 18. Okay? Now the quotient, all right, my quotient is between 17 and 18 because that's my answers here, right? So the quotient is between 17 and 18. But since 53 is closer to 54, right? 53 is closer to this one. I'm going to now say that the estimated quotient, I'm choosing this one. This one's closer. So estimating the quotient is now saying that 54 divided by 3 equals 18, right? So the answer is 53 divided by 3, right? And we're going to say it's about 18. It's about 18. All right? Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of steps, okay? And it takes practice. All right, so we're going to try another one. So I have to estimate 110 divided by 8. And again, we're going to list the multiples of 8 until you reach 110 or greater. Now, skip counting by 8 is reasonable to get up to 110 because I know that 8 times 12 is 96. So I'm really close to 110, so I won't have to skip count that much. But if that dividend gets really large, a large number, I'm not going to skip count by 8. And I'm going to show you how we can get there much quicker when those numbers get larger. So right now, I have to list the multiples of 8 until I reach 110 or greater. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, 96, and another 8, 104, and another 8, 112. All right, so I reached 110 or greater. All right, so now I have to stop. Find the multiples of 8 that 110 is between. So 110 is between this. So I have 104 and 112, right? So now I rewrite the equation. I'm still dividing by 8. Now I have my two equations. And I figure out by 1, 2, 3, the counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I notice 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40. So you could check your work. So 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 11 is 88. 8 times 12 is 96. 13 and 14. So I have 13 and 14, right? Now, when we're looking at 110, we have to decide, is 110 closer to 104 Or is 110 closer to 112? And 110 is closer to 112, so we're going to use this one. So 112 divided by 8 equals 14. So 110, right? This is would now be 112 divided by 8 equals 14. So it would be about 14. All right, that would be our final answer. So it's listing multiples, finding where the dividend is between, and then when you find your two, you have to figure out which one is actually closer. All right, so now this is an instance where if I'm going to list the multiples of 5, right, and I need to keep going to 236, I'll be here for a long time. So instead of using the multiples of 5, okay, we are going to do a little something different. Instead of multiples of 5, they're actually going to be multiples of 50. All right, and that will get us there much quicker. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I list the multiples of 5, it's going to take me a long time. So I'm going to list the multiples of 50, and this is how I'm going to do it. Okay, so instead of, we're going to be counting, all right, ten, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so on. But now I'm going to do the multiples. Okay, so multiples of 5, right? So if I keep doing that, I'm really going to be doing multiples of 5, but I'm going to start at the counting numbers of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I'll show you how that works. So 5 times 10 is 50. Then now you'll see we're skip counting by 50. And then now 5 times 20 is 100. 5 times 30 is 150. 5 times 40 is 200. 5 times 50 is 250. And 5 times 60 is 300. So it got me to a larger dividend much quicker than if I was counting by 5s. So really, you could see we're skip counting by 50. So that's why step 1 says list the multiples of 5 or 50. In this case, we would do 50 since we're trying to get up to 236, right? So now looking, I have to find the two numbers the dividend is between. So this is my dividend, and it's 236. So I have to look on my list, and 236 is right here. So I know that 236 is between 200 and 250. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that. 200 divided by 5 equals 40, because I have it right there. And 250 divided by 5 equals 50. All right, now I have to think about 236. Is 236 closer to 200 or 250? And it's closer to 250. So now 236 divided by 5 becomes 250 divided by 5 equals 50. And it's about 50. Okay, so the real answer, it's about, right? So 236 divided by 5 is about 50. About. All right. We'll do one more. 348 divided by 7. This is my divisor. This is my dividend. I need to estimate the quotient. All right, so step one, I'm going to list the multiples. Now I have to think about this. 348 is a big number. If I skip count by 7, I already know that 7 times 11 is 77, 7 times 12 is 84. 348 is a long time down, so don't want to skip count or do the multiples of 7. So I actually have to think in my head, this is my thought bubble, do I do the multiples of 7 or 70 or even possibly 700 if the numbers were really, really large? So 7 take me too long. 700 is way past, so we don't need that. So we're going to do 70. So watch how I do this. I'm going to list the multiples of 70. And keep in mind that it's still the multiples of 7, just adding the zeros. 7, 14, 21. What is 0? 28. What is 0? 35. What is 0? And 42. All right. I could stop here, and I can see where 348 is between, right? 348 is between right here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I know, I'm going to rewrite it, 280 divided by 7 equals 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And then 350 divided by 7 is 50. Okay, so now that I have those two, I have to look to see where 348 is closest to. Is 348 closer to here? Or is 348 closer to 350? All right, so it is evident that 348 is closer to 350. So we're going to use this. Okay. So 348 divided by 7, okay, is about 50. About 50. Okay, and here's my work to prove it. Okay. All right. And just to show you a problem solving, Peter needs to save $263. He plans on saving for 5 weeks. About how much money will Peter save each week? So I did estimating, right, because of the about. Now, we're estimating $263, and he's doing that for plans on saving for 5 weeks. I need to know how much he would have to save each week. So that's why it's division. So I'm going to list the multiples of 5 or 50. I have to ask myself, because 5 would take me too long to get to 263. So I'm going to do the multiples of 50. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, so that's 10, 20, 30, right? So 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 20 is 100. 150. 200. 250. This is 40, 50. 300 is 60. So I'm looking for 263. 263 is between 250 and 300. So I rewrite 250 divided by 50. That's where I'm getting it. 250 equal 250 divided by, sorry, 250 divided by 5 is 50. And 300 divided by 5 equals 60. Sorry about that. So now I have to see 263. Is 263 closer to 250, or is 263 closer to the 300? It's only 13 away from this one and way more from this one. So this would be it. So 263 divided by 5 would now become 250 divided by 5, which is about 50. So the answer would be about 50. About $50. Okay? All right, and this is the end of estimating quotients using multiples.